Hello, I am Suzanne Young. I'm a sculptor of religious artwork, and the story begins long ago. Lived in Southfield, Michigan with my parents, my brother, and I was already creating artwork in grade school. There was a school, still is there, Mercy High School in Farmington, close by, and it was known for its expert art department. Sister Mary Ignatius ran the ship. And I really wanted to get into that school, and my father, having been born in 1914 from a different era, and I was the oldest, the girl child, he said, I can't imagine spending $200 a year on tuition. $200 a year, we're going back a little bit. That was 1967, on a girl. Why can't she just go to Southfield High School? And my mother said, she's going to Mercy High School, to a Catholic school, and my mother won. So I went to Mercy High School, and I was formed under the tutelage of Sister Ignatius, who formed me, and then I won a scholarship to Pratt School of Art and Design in New York City, and went there and spent a year there. And then I returned, finished at Mercy College, and took my teaching certification, and then I wanted to continue on, so I took my Master's of Fine Art in bronze casting. I love sculpture very much, painting, but sculpture, at Eastern Michigan. As I was finishing my master's degree in Ypsilanti, on Christmas morning of 1976, I received a phone call, and it was from Sister Mary Ignatius, and she said, Suzanne, we're growing here in the art department, and we have room to hire another teacher. So I want to hire you on as an art teacher at Mercy High School. So that was 6 years later. So I graduated from graduate school and had a job. And a lot of people were just working at a department store. But see how God's working. So I start teaching there, and that's 77. And one time we had and so there were two sisters there, Sister Kevin, Sister Ignatius, and myself, and we were having a department meeting, and Sister, her name was then Ellen, she said, oh, I'm going to be in an art show in Lansing. And I said, oh. And Sister Ignatius, now I was creating artwork, but it was not religious, it was secular. Relief work where the figure would slice through the clay, and it was beautiful movement in the figure, okay. But not quite religious yet. So Sister Ignatius turns to me and says, Suzanne, why don't you create religious artwork? And I didn't say anything. So within a month, I took some of the secular work that I had into an art show at Mount Clemens Community over there in an art exhibit, and they were accepted. So I went to the champagne opening on a Sunday afternoon, took somebody with me. Anyway, and so we're standing, and this person with me is asking, now how did you get that patina coloring, the coloring? So I'm explaining, and I was aware behind me of a very tall presence of a person. The woman says, I really like your style. Would you ever be interested in creating church sculpture? Sculpture for churches. And I thought, I didn't answer because, see, Sister Ignatius had just said something a few weeks before. And this person who was with me said, of course she's interested. So anyway, I got in touch with Margaret Kavanaugh. That was Cardinal Dearden back then. And and she would line me up, and she would renovate some churches, and she'd have me do the sculpture. And then I met Monsignor Toko when he was on the east side, St. Margaret of Scotland Church, and then now he has St. Hugo of the Hills. I created work for him there, Stations of the Cross and a Holy Family. And so what my point is how God intervened in a big way. I mean, talk about timing. How do you time that? Somebody coming behind you and saying, I want you to work with me. So then I'm still teaching at Mercy High School. I was there for about 12 years teaching. And the students knew I created artwork. And one time, this one student comes to me and she handed me a brochure. She said, my mother works at a church, and this conference, this Catholic Church conference, is coming up at the Hyatt Regency in Dearborn. And we thought maybe it'd be interested. So I called the number, and I already was creating some religious art, small. So I called the number, was able to secure a booth, went there, sold the work, and the other booksellers, the Christian Catholic booksellers, were telling me, hey, you could go to this conference in this part of the country and the other conference and this and that. They were very helpful. And so I started to go. I create the smaller artwork, go to the conferences, Washington, D.C., out that way, set up the booth, and during the break time of conferences, the priest would come through, people would come through, see the work, and the priest would say, okay, I need a life-size Jesus and Mary, and that's how it started. And then I found out about another conference in Southern California, in Anaheim, and I would pack up a crate of artwork, ship it, go there, and so a lot of director of religious education ladies would come through, plus the priests, and I was creating artwork for churches in Las Vegas, Southern California. So then I was able to leave teaching and buy a small home and have a studio and create the artwork on my own. And so the word spread, but that's how God works. But there's one little point I want to make. When Sister Ignatius asked me about creating the artwork for the religious theme, I kind of bristled, and I thought, religious artwork, I'm not sure about that. But then I'll tell you, Margaret Kavanaugh came at that show, so then I started to create, and I'm so glad, and this is what I want to pass along, to listen to God's prompting in your heart, because not only was I able to then create and meet so many people and inspire people, because when you create a religious piece of artwork, it's for inspiration for prayer. It's to lift the soul to God, And so that's why I say to people, listen, God speaks to everybody. We just have to listen. A lot of people just block them out. And no, don't, because God helped me spiritually, financially, and just incredible.